When looking for the king of podcasts, you're at the wrong channel. Looking for good ideas for life? You are far from good hands. If you think the listener is always right, you are far from the right place. Hosted by a Northeasterner by birth, a rebel by choice. If you want a host that floats between love and madness, then play on and listen to Crazy Train Radio.
What up? Excuse me while I whip this out.
Oh, gnarly!
Say what again? Say what again? I dare you. I double dare you, motherfucker. Say what one more goddamn time.
I knew it. I'm surrounded by assholes. And good evening, friend.
Not all football helmets are created equal. Zenith, the industry leader in protective technology, is the only helmet in the game with adaptive head protection featuring a shock suspension system that can move independently from the helmet shell. Headquartered and developed in Detroit, Zenith is committed to player safety and revolutionary innovation. Zenith is proud to protect athletes at every level from Pee-wee to the pros. Learn more about the Zenith difference at zenith.com. That's Xenith.com.
What's up, Doc?
I'll tell you what's up. Based out of Atlantic City, New Jersey, Geek Time Entertainment runs exclusively along with different events in the area to strategize with their partners who will benefit with increased exposure and patron traffic.
Oh, gnarly!
Geek Time Entertainment will work with your event in increasing the event's traffic via social media, radio, and storefront advertisements.
Holy cow!
Also, they will help increase business for your company and event with different sales incentives.
Duh.
Whether your event will be small or even mid-scale, Geek Time Entertainment is the group to work with.
That's what I'm talking about.
Contact them today at geektimeentertainment@gmail.com or facebook.com/geektimeentertainment.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
How's it going, guys? This is Amy Dumas. You guys might know me as Lita, and you are listening to Crazy Train Radio.
Well, folks, she is a Hall of Famer as of 2014, and she dazzled fans on a full-time basis with defying gravity with her jaw-dropping aerial maneuvers. Wrestling fans know her as Lita, but others know her as Amy Dumas. Amy, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
No complaints on this end. Nobody listens anyway. Would you, though, from what I take, or how I should ask this, where in the world is Amy these days? Because we know you were on vacation, and, we're back and forth with you scheduling-wise, moving, there was just so much day-to-day life going on with you. So where in the world are you at this point?
I am currently in the Bay Area. I was in San Francisco, and I've moved across the bridge. It's our West Coast Brooklyn over here. Bay Area people may take offense to that, as well as Brooklyn people may take offense to that, but that's where I am.
Okay. Well, obviously you were a Southeast girl. You have, by last I heard, you had a place in Nicaragua. What about the West Coast attracted you to moving out that way?
It was kind of something I'd always wanted to do. I was always drawn to the West Coast. I liked that there is, hiking and surfing and the ocean and mountains and everything all in one area, as well as, right around that time I moved. It was about 6 months after I was inducted to the Hall of Fame. I kind of already had the idea in my head that that's what I wanted to do. But so I was living in Atlanta, and I love it there. I still have my house there. I visit often. My best friends from high school and college are there. But it was kind of, in the Southeast, I feel like people are a little more traditional. Not I feel, that's a fact. I mean, the statistics and everything. So it was like all of my friends were getting married and had been married and have children, and that's just never been my path. And so I thought I could move out west where it was a bit more untraditional in general and just kind of do my own thing as I've been doing. And, it's funny because it's a Southern thing, and it's not meant to be rude, but people, the first question, I mean, it'll be someone checking your groceries out in the grocery store, or the first question at breakfast is, so when are you getting married? When are you having kids? And then it's just always, it's like, and just knowing from my friends, it's like that's such a personal decision, and there's so many factors that go into that that's not just like a brunch question. But in the South, because that's just what you do, I was just asked on a daily basis, and I was like, man, I don't feel bad for my life decisions, but every single day I'm made to feel bad for my life decisions. So let me just go out west where that's kind of not the norm, and just see what happens.
Well, you've always been from what we know, you've always been a unique bird anyway. So, from what we've heard of your personality, both in and out of the ring, that and what you just described kind of fits for you.
Yeah, for sure. And it was like I know what's here, and I love and appreciate my friends and my life there in Atlanta. But I was like, that explorer spirit in me it can't stay quiet for too long. So I just had to move out west and just get a whole new set of surroundings, as well as road trips and weekend trips and all of the stuff that I love doing besides bigger trips. A whole new set of landscape for me to explore, and I've really taken advantage of that living out here.
Oh, most definitely. Like you said, there's oceans, there's mountains, there's so many different environments out there. You can't help but take advantage of that.
Right. I mean, and I did in Atlanta as well. Day trips and stuff like that. But it's like I feel like I've exhausted my 8-hour radius here. And it's here. But let me go explore a new one. And being able to go camping, and I just got back from Joshua Tree, and it was awesome being out there in the desert, and just being around a whole new set of places to explore. And I do still have my place in Nicaragua, and go down there, and I just feel like, I like the thought. I romanticize about the thought of being comfortable and just kind of having a set routine. But I just don't know how much that's in me, because I love just not knowing what my next day will hold.
Yes, and I think that's part of, at least it was for me, as a fan, on the fan side of things, that, attracted me towards you. Because, hey, this girl is not your typical 9-to-5er, I guess, would be. It's always going to be an adventure with her.
Yeah, I mean, since I've been young, that's kind of just always how I've been, and while each chapter of my life it will morph, the spirit of that, adventurous soul, I just think that's just who I am, and, I appreciate everybody's path as long as, you're happy. So it's not like I think that a 9-to-5 path is that my path is better than yours. It's just this is kind of how where my soul has led me.
It's you, and that's what it is. Because I've heard different things, because we know everything on the internet is true.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah. What exactly was your role with the WWE when you were recently working there?
It's funny that you say that you asked that, and when I was there, it's also funny because everything, the second it is talked about is always out on the internet, and I was like, it's kind of a mystery as to what I'm doing here. You won't see me talking about things, but it's not all it's not out there, what I was really doing. But I was the producer for the women, and I, started down helping out in NXT because I was down there a lot during Tough Enough. And because I was living out on the West Coast, I asked, as part of working with Tough Enough, for them to, get me a full-time residence down there in Orlando during the filming, so that I didn't have to fly back because our filming days were erratic. So, if we only had 2 days off, it's going to take me, most of one day to get there, most of one day to get back. So, and then it was like, but I don't really know anybody down here in Orlando. So if I'm down here, I ended up hanging out at the PC and kind of getting involved in the NXT stuff and helping out with, pretty much anybody that would come up and ask questions, which is those guys down there in NXT are so much of a sponge and so hungry to get to that next step. So that was really rewarding to be around, because these kids were not only asking questions, but asking the right questions. I was like, man, that's a great question in here. Let me shed my perspective on it, which is all I can do. And so from there, I came up onto the main roster, and I was producing the women. And I didn't know if it was for me, because that schedule is so full-time, and it is such a grind. But ultimately, I just thought, I think it would have been great if I had a me there for me when I was there, because it can be a little lonely up there, and kind of like, I don't know who to ask, or if I'm going to get in trouble for asking this, or how this is supposed to work, because there's no handbook. There's very much a handbook, but it's not written anywhere, and you're supposed to just know all these rules of how to handle yourself, So I went up there, and it was really rewarding, although very challenging, just navigating the waters of the backstage politics and everything. But ultimately, it was really rewarding experience, and seeing this next generation of women, just how hard they're working, and being able to be a voice for them. So I was producing all behind the scenes from about, I think, October of last year up until the brand split, or extension, as they call it, up until the brand extension in July.
Yeah, well, obviously you've been considered a strong female role model for both fans and female talent alike. So you mentioned there in that answer, a lot of the current crop of females were very initiative and come and talk to you, say, hey, Amy, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? And trying to get some advice from your perspective on things.
Yeah, for sure. And it's funny that, as you phrased that question, said, oh, hey, Amy, what do you think? And it's like, it was interesting getting to know all these people down there, and they weren't asking Amy, they were asking Lita, this person that they'd grown up watching, and I could see that. And, and it took a while to, kind of acknowledge that, but then also just to get them to know, look, I'm just Amy, and yes, I've walked in this path, so I'm happy to share my perspective, but, don't, you're not going to get in trouble for anything you ask me. You're not going to get, there's no wrong question to ask and stuff like that. So it was, I felt like pretty much they're all pretty intimidated, kind of getting to know me at first, but then where we ended up having formed our own individual bonds just as being humans, regardless of their life path or mine, it was very rewarding.
Well, one other thing curious to know as far as, the backstage and everything else, and of course when the fans hear this, there's going to be a couple of knuckleheads that, there's knuckleheads everywhere. But do you find, or did you find when you were a talent, that the locker room etiquette was different in the girls' locker room compared to the guys?
Now?
Or you can answer for both now and when you were a talent as well.
I mean, just now, actually, it just seems, especially with most of the talent at this point having come from NXT, it's almost like they're graduating high school and they all end up going to the same college, and so I do see a lot more unified camaraderie between, both genders, but just more as a locker room as a whole. Of course, they spend so much time together, so tempers are going to flare up. There's going to be issues here and there that, will be handled however they're handled and potentially make, glorified internet stories because of it from time to time. But for the most part, I witnessed a very unified locker room and people that you can lean on and respect because there's just a small group of them taking this very unique path.
Well, as far as we've been talking about the current crop of women that you've been working with from NXT to the main roster and everything. Was there anybody that really stood out? And let's say that they did the roster, but was there anybody female-wise that you go, when you first started watching them and go, wow, I like that. Wow, that's different. That's not.
Yeah, I was a big fan of Alexa Bliss from the first time I saw her. If you're speaking specifically of NXT, when I was there, when we're not already on the main roster, big fan of Alexa Bliss, and I'm glad to see that she's really been able to flourish up there on SmackDown Live because, I saw that in her, and she wasn't necessarily one of the most popular, one of the most pushed women down at NXT during her time there, but I really saw that she's just really dynamic. Like, she can play a lot of different roles. Like, besides she's very cute and she's athletic. Okay, there's that. But then, she's just she had a way to embrace whatever the role was that was the challenge of the day. And because some people can be really good at just their shtick, and they're like, this is what I do, and this is where I'm comfortable. But once they try to deviate from that, it cannot translate. And I just saw Alexa trying all different types of stuff, whether it was just in promo class or, just at practice, or whether it was what she was doing at NXT. And I thought that makes for a great star, because if there's anything that you have to be being a sports entertainer, it is to be adaptable to different situations, because talk about waking up and not knowing what the day holds for you. Welcome to the WWE.
Yep. Well, you saw a transition as from a talent to where you were recently with the company, where there was folks who were trained, you, Jackie, Victoria, that whole crowd. You go through the Diva search, and that's no knock on them, to where we are now, where you have your Charlottes, your Alexa Blisses, your gals who can really work and wrestle. How much would you say in today's product that the sex appeal is still there as far as selling women's wrestling?
I think it's an interesting place where we are with that right now, because it's great that, we're having women's main events, we're having women's faces on the, to sell a pay-per-view, having long matches, main angles, all of this stuff. And I think that right now is the time that you're having to, or at least, I don't know if it's as a fan or as a woman, it's like you're just supposed to completely ignore their sexuality. Because it's like, these are athletes, they're doing this thing, and, and it's like, well, yeah, but they're also just as beautiful as anybody else in pop culture, whether it's just a pop star or whether it's, a diva from past generations that was more just focused on their looks. So it's like these women now are, it's just more about we're being presented with more well-rounded figures to enjoy. However, I feel like it's almost like at this point, it's like taboo to acknowledge their sex appeal, which it's like, I mean, that's tough to look the other way, because they all are also attractive, and so it's I think it's an interesting period, because it's like right now, to charge forward, the focus has just been on what amazing athletes they are, and that is a fact. But they're still just as beautiful as any generation of people in the public eye.
Definitely, I agree with you on that. Well, I'm curious, final question for you anyway, is obviously all wrestlers get their bumps, their bruises, broken bones, they get their share of, things going on in the ring. And
Sure.
It's well documented that you broke your neck, though, on a TV set and all that stuff, and had your share of stuff happen. How are you feeling nowadays, that even though you've been out of the ring for so long?
I'm really fortunate, and I think it's a testament to your body's ability to regenerate. When I retired, I actually felt great. That's my, factor into retiring did not have to do with how my body felt. And, I'm able to do everything I would want to do physically. And, of course, do I wake up some days where my back's hurt or my neck doesn't feel so great? Yeah, absolutely. But, I have ways to manage it and go to yoga and acupuncture and just kind of take good care of myself in general. And, I feel like I can go, and I feel like I haven't been beat up in the ring for years after years on a daily basis.
Well, you're doing a couple appearances. I just want to mention this, for the end of this. You're going to be going to one of your home bases, I would say, as far as the independent circuit from before WWE with Maryland Championship Wrestling next week. The following week, you'll be at the big event the next day. The following week, I know you'll be at Monster Mania in Jersey. How is the fan interaction with you? Do you have any cool stories or really weird? Do you get some real whack jobs as well?
It's interesting because, so at first when I retired, I was just like, no, I just need space. I just need time away. Like, I just need to hike and surf and just be like Amy and be really quiet. And while I enjoyed that, when I started doing appearances again, I was like, man, this is so cool. Because when you're in WWE, you might have appearances, but they have to push everybody through the line so quickly, and you don't get much of a personal interaction. Maybe just a bit of eye contact, a quick smile, but you don't really get any stories. And now what I've been getting, which is my favorite, is people bringing their, old school Polaroids. Like, look, I met you when I was 10, or something. And of course, this is an adult telling me this. And I'm like, okay, we have to recreate this picture. And so I'll do these side by side where we have, pictures taken 10 years apart. And the fact that they're still a fan or they still feel connected to me in some way from having grown up with me and getting to have more of an intimate moment and we can, talk for a second. It really, like, I love doing things full circle because usually the first way you do something, you usually mess up, right? And most people don't have an opportunity to come back and try it again. And so I love being able to have met these people, lightning fast as the situation called for, but them still sticking with, feeling attached to me enough to come visit again 10 years later and, get to, just speak like two humans more as opposed to, in the chaos of a WWE appearance. So that's been a really, really neat thing for me to experience, as well as, going back to Maryland Championship Wrestling in particular. Dan McDevitt, who was one of the owners of Maryland Championship all the way from the beginning, I went and trained with him. Joey Matthews and Christian York were trained, had trained there. They were already on the independents, and I would come as much as I could. And Dan said, and I asked how much, was to train there. And I was trying to save up money to go to their school, and he said, I really see potential in you. You go the extra mile. I know that you're going to work hard and make something of yourself. You can use this school whenever you can get here, because it still was nowhere near where I lived. Whenever you can get here, you can train here. And I just appreciate that so much. So I love being able to go back after my career at WWE and help the students there at MCW and everybody on the roster there, as well as to come back to a place that believed in me from the start. So it's really special to always go back to Maryland Championship whenever I can.
Well, I'm sure folks can see about your appearances and your travels and everything else at Amy Dumas on the Twitter machine, as Bubba Ray likes to say. What else do you have out there social media-wise that people want to follow you?
Well, that's the main thing that I'll use is my Twitter. That's just my name, Amy Dumas. And then my Instagram I use as well, but I do kind of put usually more of a personal touch on that, so that is more just my travels and some candid shots and stuff. And that's Machete Girl, which was a nickname. I always say I've never had a nickname that stuck, but the locals down in Nicaragua call me Machete Girl, because I would carry a machete around walking down the street because you can down there. And so I always thought they always would laugh at me and call me Machete Girl. So that is my Instagram handle.
Nice. Amy, thank you so much. With over 30 years of experience and a superb reputation for being a detail-oriented company, Lacey Cleaning has some of the highest work standards in the cleaning business.
That's the fact, Jack!
Whether it's carpet cleaning, tile, grout cleaning, new construction cleanup, rental turnovers, vent and duct cleaning, odor elimination, office and or business cleaning, power washing, residential cleaning, you name it, they do it. Check them out. To contact them today, laceycleaning@gmail.com or call them at 609-709-8536.
That's what I'm talking about.
Hey, this is April Hunter, and you are listening to Crazy Train Radio. Woo woo!